All right, hey, so we're back again with another prophetic event. This time it's in Ukraine. So, hey, before we start going into Bible prophecy and scriptures, I want to say shalom, shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel, which in these last days is you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Gentiles, Israelite foreigners who are scattered amongst the heathen. We give all praises to our power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakaha Kwadash, Yahweh. That's the true ancient Hebrew name of the Heavenly Father, who the world through ignorance calls God, Jehovah, or Yahweh. Yahweh means He exists, He to be. Yahweh Shai in the ancient Hebrew means He saves, He delivers, or He is victory, who the world through ignorance calls Yeshua, Yahuwah, or Jesus Christos, okay, Jesus Christ. And double honor to the men at Great Millstone, GMS, the apostles and elders, who taught me the 100% truth according to the Holy Scriptures. So again, welcome back to another prophetic event taking place in Ukraine. Here I have a map for those of you who don't know where Ukraine is at. Okay, this is a map. It sits in the border between Poland, Russia, Belarus, Slovakia. Let me pull two more maps, two more examples of where this prophetic event is taking place. And again, the title of this lesson, prophetic video, is 10 million. Let me write down people. It says 10 million people, or matter of fact, Ukrainians, okay? Because, if you live in Ukraine, you're known as a Ukrainian. You're a resident, right? 10 million Ukrainians without power is a sign for Americans, okay? So what's going on in Ukraine right now, that's what's going to happen here in America. And not only is it going to happen in America, but this is going to happen worldwide. Okay, you see articles and signs of various power outages amongst Latin America, okay, and parts of Africa. But ultimately, okay, the main event of these power outages is going to happen to 300 plus million of you Americans here in modern day Babylon, okay, modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. But hey, before we go any further, let's keep reading this article. It says 10 million Ukrainians without power. Zelensky. It says a Russian strikes also resulted, okay, and according to different sources, some say it was the Russians, some say it was the Americans. But matter of fact, let me just go to RT News real quick. Okay, and this is the confusion that's happening amongst the nations. Matter of fact, great confusion. We get the book of Esdras, 2nd Esdras 6:21. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth. And this is prophecy right here. Let me get straight to the point. It says, and even then shall evils grow upon earth. Yeah, and an example of evils is these power outages. Okay, power shutdowns, nuclear power shutdowns, communication. Okay, communication shutdowns. That's also prophecy, and we're going to break that down. But Let me go into Second Ezra 16:21. Sword, yeah, and an example of a sword. Besides, you have firearms and knives, tanks and jets, helicopters. Another example of a sword, a weapon, are these shutdowns. Okay, shutting down. Okay, a nation's power, man. That's okay. That's the actual weapon. Okay, having the power to shut down people's electricity, man. That's an example of a sword, and also an example of evil. Famine, yeah, lack of resources, lack of minerals and essential needs, and great confusion. You see, so a prophecy that's currently happening now in the year 2022 is great confusion. And great confusion, you can see that example here. The US says Russia ultimately responsible for Poland missile. Now check out this confusion. Missile incident was Ukrainian provocation. Ukrainians admitted firing missile near Poland. So you have, according to sources, Ukrainian admitting that they're the ones that fired that missile into Poland, but then you have Americans saying that it was Russia. Okay, and that's an example of great confusion. Okay, you don't even know who did what, who did this, and because of that, okay, because of a disagreement or you know because of confusion that's happening amongst the nations, like it tells you here in Luke 21:25. Okay, perplexity. When you go into that word perplexity, I just want to break it down real quick. It says what? Inability to deal with or understand something complicated. It says what? Confusion. So, according to the gospel, according to prophecy in the book of Luke, in the last days before the return of our Lord, there's going to be a great distress with perplexity, which means confusion. And an example of confusion, okay, which is the ability, okay, to understand something complicated, okay, or not, agreeing to a great matter. It's that missile that was just shot out there in Poland, and I believe it killed like two NATO troops, if I'm not mistaken. But there's an example of great confusion. This is actually Bible prophecy, and through great confusion, that's gonna just intensify the rumors of war. Okay, World War III. So again, back to the article. It says 10 million Ukrainians without power. It says Russian strikes. Now remember, according to articles, Ukrainians already admitted firing the missile near Poland site. But according to this article, now it's the Russians that stroke, okay, Poland. And this is gonna cause World War III because the nations, they're not agreeing with each other of who did what, and that's gonna cause a war, man. Okay, it's gonna cause anger. It's gonna stir up the minds of the kings of the earth. It says Russian strikes also resulted in the shutdown. And real quick, who's funding? Okay, billions of dollars to the Ukrainian economy. Okay, primarily with their military, man. That's America. You see, and whatever Ukraine does, man, pretty much that's the blame. Okay, the ones who are responsible, okay, is Babylon. And so far, if you do the math, since the whole tension between uh Ukraine and Russia, man. Okay, the U.S. has funded a total of I think it was 10 billion plus dollars. Matter of fact, there's a quick news article. It says the White House requests 38 billion more dollars in Ukraine aid, and a lot of these weapons that Ukrainians are using for their uh, for their wars. Okay, they all come from the Edomites, the American army. It says the funding here in our article, Wall Street Journal. The funding takes total American military assistance to Ukraine over $15 billion under the Biden administration, man. So, hey, really, man, the one to blame of what's happening in the world, man, it's you devils, okay, you Edomites. Now it's funny because the Ukrainians, like I pulled the map on here on Google, all these nations that you see here. Now you have Hebrew Israelites, you have the Lord's elects, okay, scatter amongst the heathen. Okay, you will have Israelites in Ukraine, you will have Israelites in Poland, you will have Israelites in Russia, etc., etc. But when you study history, man, hey, the majority of these nations, like in Turkey, Russia, Poland, okay, because a lot of these Russians, a lot of these Ukrainians, yeah, they're Edomites, man. When you read the history, you go into the book of Maccabees. You go into the history of the book of Maccabees. You had a split that happened amongst or after the death of Alexander the Great, which he's an Edomite as well. But you had his four generals. Matter of fact, let me go into that real quick. Give me a second. Here you go. You go into the history of the split of Esau Edom. It says Alexander the Great from the World History Encyclopedia. It says Alexander the Third, better known as Alexander the Great, was the son of King Philip II. And you can read that history here in the first book of Maccabees in the Aegean Sea. It says the history begins when Alexander the Great, son of Philip of Macedonia, marched from Macedonia and attacked Darius, king of Persia and Media. And the modern day Persian and Medes, man, that's the Iranians. Iran is also a big part of Bible prophecy. It says Alexander enlarged the Greek Empire by defeating Darius and seizing his throne. And this was prophecy in the book of Daniel. When you read the prophecy of Daniel, Daniel saw the visions of four major empires: the Babylonians, the Persians, and the Medes. I believe after that was the Greeks, and then it was the pagan Roman Empire. He fought many battles and captured fortified cities and put the kings of the region to death. As he advanced to the ends of the earth, he plundered many nations, and when he had conquered the world, he became proud and arrogant. Yeah, so Esau, the devil himself, starting with Alexander the Great, he conquered the world through what? through his blessing, and that blessing is the sword when you read Genesis, the 27th chapter. And after he became proud and arrogant, right, it says by building up a strong army. And that strong army is currently taking place now. Okay, right now at the moment. Okay, who has the strongest army? The military, the Marine Corps. Well, Babylon. Now we understand because of Bible prophecy, Babylon, it's losing its power. But when we speak about, okay, the modern day army of the modern day Grecians, okay, these are the ones in power currently. Okay, number one, why is that? Because America, Babylon the Great, has not been touched, meaning they haven't lost, okay, a war in land, okay, and in sea, okay, air, land. So here's just an example of the modern day military of the modern day Grecians, the modern day so-called white man who has advanced, okay, his sword, okay, his weapons. It says by building up a strong army, he dominated whole nations and their rulers and forced everyone to pay him taxes. And that's how you know these are the Edomites, because when you go into the gospel, what did Yahweh Shai say, man? This is the book of give me a second. This is the book of Matthew 22 and 20. They say unto him, I'll start at 20, and he saith unto them, who is this image and superscription? They say unto him, Caesar's. Then said the Messiah, render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto Yahweh the things that are Yahweh's. When they had heard these words, they marveled and left them and went their way. Yeah, the point is that when you read in the gospel in Matthew 22nd and 19, okay, starting in the context, that's around 16, okay, going into paying a tribute, okay, part of paying tribute is paying taxes, and that goes back all the way to the Grecians, where Alexander the Great, he forced everyone to pay him taxes. You see, and through those taxes, that's what's gonna fund and support, the Edomites empire. And that's what's happening today in modern day times, where the whole reason why America is able to, keep themselves in power with, the sword, which is their blessing, is through what? It's because of the people's, okay, hard work, okay, because of the hard work of the American people. You have this devil taking away, taxes, and the majority of those taxes, they come from the number one consumers, which are your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Get the book of Baruch, the book of Barak, which Barak means blessed. That's where you get the name Baruch, the scribe of Jeremiah. Baruch 3 and 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity. Yeah, and this is the captivity of the 12 tribes of Israel, because the majority of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, they dwell here in America, which this is our major and Lord's will. It is our last captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our God. So an example of paying tribute, paying taxes, or being subject to payment. Okay, that's happening now. The scriptures speak about there's nothing new under the sun. So just like Alexander the Great forced everyone to pay him taxes, and well, that's happening now. Okay, we're all forced to pay taxes to this proud and arrogant devil, man. It says, verse 5, when Alexander had been emperor for 12 years, he fell ill and realized that he was about to die. He called together his generals, noble men who had been brought up with him since his early childhood, and he divided his empire, giving a part to each of them. Yeah, so after Alexander the Great, left the spirit, the terrestrial realm. Before that happened, he called together his generals, which the name of those generals, I have them right here. Okay, it says, give me a second. Let's see if I can find it. The name of the four generals of Alexander the Great. It says right here, when he was asked who should succeed, Alexander said, the strongest, which answer led to his empire being divided between four of his generals. That was Cassander, Ptolemy, Antigonus, and Seleucus, known as the Audaci or successors. And hey, if you want to go more in depth into the four generals, man, in history, because this was around 200, 300 BC. Okay, here are examples of the Greek Empire being divided into four. Hey, but after many years, man, the Edomites, the so-called white men, hey, they spread. Okay, like it tells you here, going back to First Maccabees. Let me get that. 1 and 8. After his death, the generals took control. Okay, they took control of what? Of the blessing. Okay, of the blessing, which is a sword. And through that sword, they were able to conquer. And each had himself crowned king of his own territory. The descendants of these kings ruled for many generations and brought a great deal of misery to the world. So ever since the beginning, of the beast, because when you study history, the basis of the image of the beast, that started with the Grecians, because right after Alexander the Great gave his decree to his four generals, man, that's when evils started to multiply amongst the earth. We get the book of Psalms 37 and 35. I have seen the wicked in great power. Yeah, and an example of the wicked in great power, that's Esau, Idumea, starting with the Grecians. Starting with Alexander the Great and his four generals. That's an example of the wicked in great power and spreading himself like a green bay tree. So Esau, Edom, has spread himself like a green bay tree. Now, when you go into a green bay tree, this is symbolic to Esau. Esau, Edom, the devil that the Bible speaks of, he will spread like a green bay tree. It says to thrive, to grow very successfully. The Green Bay tree is known to grow several new branches, you see, and hey, those new branches of of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, which today is the modern day Americans primarily. Hey, they have their branches now. Their new branches. The branch of the Air Force. You know their Navy, their Space Force. Every year. So you see the Green Bay tree, man. That's an example of on the left hand side. That's an example of these devils. Okay, Esau, Edom. But real quick, First Maccabees 1 and 9 in the King James. After the death of Alexander, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. And again, when you study the history, man, of the four generals of Esau, Edom, in modern day times, man, they have spread throughout the whole earth, okay, and wickedness. And now these Edomites, okay, because of prophecy, like it says here, kingdom can stand. Okay, if you have a household going against each other, they cannot stand. Matthew or Mark 3 and 24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. So them Russians, them Ukrainians, these Edomite empires in modern day, okay, they will not stand because they're going against each other, man. All these devils that you see here, okay, and these empires of the Far East, man. Hey, they all go back to the seed line of those four generals, man. Okay, those four generals of Alexander the Great, and ultimately they all go back to the seed line of Esau, Edom. So in reality, man, everything that's happening out there in Ukraine and Poland and Russia, hey, that's just Esau against Esau. That's the so-called white man against the so-called white man. Now you do have, like I said, you do have, according to prophecy, you have Israelite foreigners that dwell, okay, amongst these heathen. They might be just your average Ukrainian, your average Russian citizen, or even maybe in the spirit they might even be part of the military of these devils, man. Okay, that's just prophetic. So it says about 10 million Ukrainians have been left without electricity due to a Russian missile barrage. President Vladimir Zelensky, and that's a spirit, man, because it says Vladimir Zelensky. Hey, you also have who? Vladimir Putin. Said on Wednesday, in recent weeks, Moscow has been, and Moscow, that's the, for those of you brothers and sisters who don't know, believe Moscow, that's the capital of Russia, has been targeting, just like here in Babylon, you have, the headquarters, Washington, D.C. Okay, well, guess what? The Washington, D.C. of Russia is Moscow, has been targeting the Ukrainian power grid after Moscow accused Kyiv of staging sabotage attacks on its critical infrastructure. Now again, it says what? Here on top, nuclear power plants, and led to what? Communication outages. Now let's see if that's prophecy. Go right here. A man shall desire. This is the book of Esdras. 2 Esdras 16:27. So that one man shall desire to see another and to hear his voice. You see, so in prophetic events in these last days, primarily out there, like I gave examples of, these outages are going to start worldwide. You might have some in your state, like the state of California and various cities. You might have one in Florida. Just small power outages here and there. but that's going to intensify to greater power outages where it's going to affect, okay, the whole grid, okay, the whole nation. So second Ezra 16 and 27. So that one man shall desire to see another and to hear his voice. Yeah, and how do you hear the voice of another individual, of another person? A communication, speaking physically or even through a phone. Second Ezra 15:17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. You see, and that's gonna happen during World War III, man. Because during World War III, the the military, the government has control of communications, and when you shut down a nation's communication, man, okay, it's not just phones, it's not just your iPhone, your smartphone, your laptop. Hey, but that's the street lights, your street lights. Okay, that's your businesses, your banks. Okay, transportation like trains, trolleys, vehicles, airplanes, and because of that, because of the shutdown of transportation, that's what's gonna cause a man to desire to go into a city, and he shall not be able to. Man, you see that? Why? Because of World War III, man. So when World War III hits the fan at a high level, man, hey, that's gonna cause what? Nuclear power plants being shut down. Okay, communication being shut down. So again, it says in a video address on Telegram, Zelensky stated that many Ukrainian cities are experiencing power outages, with Kyiv, Kharkov, Zhytomyr, and the Lviv regions affected the most. About 10 million Ukrainians are without electricity, he said. The Ukrainian president also noted internet connection and communication issues across the entire country. Hey man, that's prophetic. That's also gonna cause a famine of the word. So for all you Israelites out there, man, who are playing with prophecy, man, playing with the words of Yahweh Shah and not absorbing this knowledge, man. Hey, once those internet connections and communication logistics, man, get shut down, hey, it's gonna be too late to get this truth. It says, moreover, due to Russian strikes, several nuclear units have been automatically shut down at two nuclear power plants, Zelensky claimed, without providing any more details. These were the calculated consequences the enemy knew that he was doing. It says Zelensky also claimed that in total Russian forces had launched 90 missiles at Ukraine. On Tuesday, Kirill Timoshenko, the deputy head of the presidential administration, called the situation in wake of the attacks critical, adding that most strikes targeted facilities in the center and north of the country. The situation in the capital is extremely serious. Special emergency power cut schedules are being put in place, he said. Ukraine has been experiencing rolling power outages since Moscow launched strikes on its energy infrastructure on October 10, after accusing Kyiv of targeting Russian sites, including the strategic Crimean Bridge. Earlier this month, Zelensky claimed the electricity blackouts affected more than 4 million Ukrainians, with residents of the capital and its suburbs bearing the brunt. According to Ukrainian authorities, the recurring Russian attacks have destroyed or damaged up to 40% of the country's energy infrastructure, man. So this was going on out there in Ukraine, which is a prelude of what's going to come here to America, because America plays a big part, okay, of the war between America. Well, guess what? Uh, hey, just like you have a pimp and a whore, okay. The pimp funds the whore for her to buy her her new hairstyle. Get a new haircut. Okay, get her nails done, get tattoos, and go do business. Okay, that pimp. Okay, that's out there. Those gutter rats out there in our holy land, man. Okay, those small hats. That's the pimp. Okay, those Amalekites. Okay, the big nose, small hat people. That's the pimp of Babylon the Great. And Babylon the Great, hey, that's the pimp of these Ukrainians. You see that? So there's a rank, but behind the curtains, behind what's happening out in Ukraine, man, responsibility of the individuals that are causing these wars. Okay, are these gutter rats in here, man? Okay, these Amalekites. Okay, these are the ones that, and again, you have Israelites look like Amalekites, man. You see that are also black, but speaks about international bankers, man. Okay, these are the bankers. Okay, these are the ones who are funding these wars. Hey, just like Tupac said, hey, they have money for wars, but they can't feed the poor, and the poor is your Israelites. Okay, your Israelites are out here starving. You catching hell, having to pay your dues, and barely making ends meet, while this devil's funding. Okay, money for his wars. Okay, to keep his nation intact. So let me finish this off with Luke chapter 21, 25. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon, which is had one. I think that was last week. We had I think it was a blood moon, and the stars, and upon the earth the stress of nations, with perplexity the sea and the waves roaring. Men's hearts, which is your mind, failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. Yeah, like World War III. For the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. And how are the powers of the heavens shall be shaken, man? It will via the nuclear weapons, man. World War III, a nuclear holocaust. See that? This is all prophecy right here, man. So everything that's going on with Ukraine, Russia, Poland, and that's a spirit because you know starting with the year 2022, the year of the turnip, it was just a small tension. You had China and Taiwan, you had Russia and Ukraine, but now you have Poland involved. Now you have Babylon involved. See, now Iran involved, China involved. Now all the nations are getting involved in this war, man. You see, that's what's gonna cause World War III. It's like a domino effect, man. Hey, but real quick again, a prophetic event. 10 million Ukrainians without power is a sign for Americans. So what's going on out there in Ukraine, man? That's ultimately gonna happen here in America to all the 300 plus so-called residents or citizens, whether you're an Edomite, whether you're a Moabite, Ammonite, or even an Israelite. See, everybody's gonna, go through that pain, okay, of punishment, okay, without having electricity, without having resources, man. A lot of you people are gonna suffer, but if you're of the elect, you will overcome this suffering because of Bible prophecy and the will of Yahweh Shemel Shai. With that, I pray this current prophetic event was edifying. I want to say shalom.